Most cat owners know the signs of an upset stomach. Many know the signs of a respiratory infection. But very few know the signs of a feline stroke. And that's dangerous, because when Garfield showed those signs, we didn't recognize them. Looking back, they were right in front of us. What we thought was an awkward fall turned out to be the beginning of the final chapter of his life. And if sharing Garfield's story helps even one cat receive help sooner, then his story is still helping others today. We thought Garfield had simply lost his balance. We were wrong. Garfield wasn't just our cat. He was family. For more than a decade, he was part of our daily life. He slept beside us, followed us around the house, waited for us, comforted us. And like most cats, he had favorite places. One of those places was the top of our sofa. It was his spot. The place where he could sleep while still supervising everything happening in the room. One evening, I was sitting in the living room watching television. Garfield was asleep on top of the sofa, the same place he had slept hundreds of times before. Nothing seemed unusual. Nothing seemed different. Then, suddenly, he lost his balance and fell. For a moment, he looked scared, confused, almost as if he didn't understand what had happened. A few seconds later, he seemed alert again. The entire incident lasted less than a minute, and honestly, it would have been easy to dismiss. Cats fall, cats have awkward moments, but something didn't feel right, and that feeling stayed with me. We took Garfield to the veterinarian. The answer seemed simple: old age. That was the explanation. But I wasn't convinced. I knew Garfield. This didn't feel like normal aging. This felt different. So we kept asking questions. Eventually, we found a feline specialist, and unlike the first appointment, this veterinarian shared our concern immediately. They agreed the fall wasn't normal. In fact, they believed it could be related to his heart. That recommendation led us to a veterinary cardiologist, and eventually to a diagnosis that explained everything. Garfield was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, often called HCM, the most common form of heart disease in cats. The disease causes the walls of the heart to become thicker. Over time, the heart becomes less efficient. Blood clots can form, and those clots can sometimes travel through the body. In some cases, they can lead to devastating complications, including strokes. The diagnosis explained the fall, but it also created a question that haunted us for months. How much time did Garfield have left? The answer wasn't what we hoped for. The cardiologist estimated Garfield might have 4 to 6 months. There was no cure, only management, only time. So we started treatment. A complicated combination of medications, some intended for people, others used in veterinary medicine. And I made a decision. I would be the one to give him his medication. Garfield and I shared a special bond. I was his favorite human, and I knew there was a chance he would begin associating those medications with me. There was a chance he might resent me, but if somebody had to be the bad guy, it was going to be me. And for a while, I think he did hold a grudge. Every morning I would give him his medication, and afterward he wanted nothing to do with me. He would disappear, avoid me, stay away, at least for a few hours. But by the afternoon, he always came back. He would sit beside me, lay next to me, or curl up nearby, as if to say, "I'm still upset with you, but you're still my person." The medication wasn't easy on him, especially toward the end. It upset his stomach. There were accidents, late nights, early mornings, and more cleaning than I can count. But none of that mattered. If something needed cleaning, we cleaned it. If he needed comfort, we gave it. If he needed patience, we gave him that too. Because when someone has spent years bringing comfort into your life, you don't start keeping score when they need you most. As the months passed, we began noticing other changes. Some days Garfield would walk to the stairs and stop. He would look up, then look at me, as if he was asking for help. In his younger years, those stairs meant nothing to him. He could run up them without a second thought. But now there were days when the climb felt like too much, so I would pick him up, and together we would make the trip upstairs. It became part of our routine, one of the many small adjustments that happen when you're caring for someone you love. Looking back, I don't remember the inconvenience. I don't remember the cleaning. I don't remember the interrupted sleep. What I remember is carrying Garfield upstairs. What I remember is him curling up beside me afterward. What I remember is having more time with my friend. One of the reasons I'm sharing Garfield's story is because many cat owners don't know what a feline stroke can look like. The signs are often subtle, and they can appear suddenly. Watch their face. A head tilt, eyes that don't seem able to focus, rapid eye movements, pupils that suddenly appear different. Watch how they move. A confident cat may suddenly stumble, lose balance, lean to one side, or appear disoriented. The important thing isn't memorizing every symptom. The important thing is recognizing sudden change. When something changes overnight, pay attention. Trust your instincts. 3 weeks before the end, one of our veterinarians gently told us something I wasn't ready to hear. They believed Garfield was approaching the point where we would need to make a decision. I listened, but I wasn't ready. As long as Garfield was still enjoying life, I wanted more time. More mornings, more evenings, more moments with my friend. Then came the day that changed everything. Garfield suffered another stroke. It only lasted a few seconds, maybe 5, maybe 10. But in those few seconds, everything became clear. His body began to shake. When it was over, his pupils were wide. His tongue hung from his mouth. And for the first time, I saw something I had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. Not confusion, not discomfort. Fear. I had spent months helping him, giving medication, cleaning up accidents, carrying him up the stairs, doing everything I could to give him more time. I would have done it for another day, another month, another year if it meant he could still enjoy life. But in that moment I realized something. My baby needed me one last time. Not to fight harder, not to find another medication, not to schedule another appointment. He needed me to protect him from suffering. And that was the hardest decision I have ever made. Because loving someone sometimes means knowing when to let them rest. Not because you're giving up, but because you're putting their needs ahead of your own desire to keep them here. Eventually, we said goodbye. It was one of the hardest days of my life. But Garfield had already given us more than we could ever repay. Years of companionship, years of comfort, years of unconditional love. And even during his final chapter, he was still teaching lessons. The lesson Garfield left behind is simple. Trust your instincts. Advocate for the ones who can't speak for themselves. The first veterinarian believed Garfield's fall was simply old age, but something inside me said otherwise. So we kept asking questions, and that decision gave us 6 more months together. Garfield couldn't tell us what was wrong. He couldn't describe his symptoms. He couldn't ask for a specialist. He couldn't ask for a cardiologist. He depended on us to notice when something wasn't right. And sometimes, loving someone means becoming their voice when they can't speak. Garfield's story didn't end the way we wanted, but if sharing his story helps even one cat receive care sooner, then Garfield is still helping others. And that is a legacy worthy of a very special cat. Thank you, Garfield.